Hey guys, welcome to Smack Talk Wrestling Reviews. I am your host Boise and this is Raw vs SmackDown. It is the Raw and SmackDown after Super Showdown back in Saudi Arabia. If you're wondering where the review is for Super Showdown, like I stated last week, I will not be reviewing it. But if you want to know my thoughts on it, it sucked. It actually sucked. But yeah, with all that said and done, guys, don't forget to like, subscribe and press that bell to keep notified. And now that's all said and done, let's hit the music and let's get on with the review. We started off this week's episode of Raw with a generic opening, and it was none other than Seth Rollins coming out with the steel chair, celebrating his victory over Baron Corbin at Super Showdown and preventing Brock Lesnar from cashing in his Money in the Bank on him as well at Saudi Arabia. He was very proud of himself. He was interrupted by Baron Corbin, who was annoyed with the officials, blaming them for his loss, even though, let's be honest, Baron Corbin lost it himself. And he stated thanks to the McMahons, he is now able to pick out his official for their rematch at Stomping Grounds. Seth laughs. He goes, "Corbin, you got no friends, no one's going to help you." And out comes both Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Sami stating that pretty much Seth needs to lose the belt because he's turning into everything he despises about WWE thanks to the WWE Universe. Seth just has enough of it, and he just stomps off, getting sick and tired of listening to these three idiots. Pretty much, it is a bit of a shame. Really, this is so generic. It's just such a staple of Raw. It's so boring. Unfortunately, Seth has great promo skills. Corbin can get the crowd biting at any time, but the problem is there's no chemistry between these two, and it just shows. And it also shows that there's lack of big named heels on both sides of Raw and SmackDown, where they have to bring both Sami and Kevin over to both shows every week, just so that the show feels like there are challenges to the champions at the time. So for me, I'm going to give this a 2 out of 5 stars. Very generic and very boring. Next up, we had Lars Sullivan taking on the Lucha House Party. That's right, we're seeing this again, guys. This time round, it's pretty much an elimination match. So as every time Lars eliminates one of the Lucha House Party members, another one has to get into the ring until there's none left. This is so generic. As we know, with Super Showdown, the Lucha House Party lost the match because pretty much they got themselves disqualified by pretty much attacking Lars Sullivan at once. Yeah, because it's a handicap match. Why wouldn't you try and use the numbers? This is just a shame. The Lucha House Party for me are one of the best little staples from 205. They are fun. You know that all three guys are talented wrestlers. You know, Grand Metalik, Kalisto, you know, these guys are just so talented. And then you got Lars Sullivan. I know what they're trying to do, try and build him as a monster, but it's just so boring. And I feel so sorry for the Lucha House Party. They need to start being pushed more into the direction of a tag team feud, more than just being used as, even worse than local talent. Because at least with local talent they get squashed and that's it, that's one show. But it just seems like every show now it's just them getting squashed by Lars Sullivan. But at least we actually had a full match this time. It's funny that Lars Sullivan's first televised match is on Raw, yet he's a SmackDown superstar. Yeah, we're gonna give this a 1.5 out of 5. Next up, we had Miz TV, and this week's special guest for Miz TV was none other than United States Championship holder Samoa Joe. This was great. This was a great little promo between Joe and the Miz. They talked about how Joe pretty much attacked Rey Mysterio, and Joe just didn't seem bothered. He actually wants competition. He states United States Championship is open to anyone, and he's just waiting for a challenger to come. The Miz pretty much speaks up, Braun Strowman comes out to interrupt as well. You have Ricochet, you have Bobby Lashley, and you have Cesaro. Cesaro even attacks Ricochet when he's at top of the ramp, cutting his promo about challenging for the United States Championship. And this led to a brawl, which led to a 6-man tag team match. The match itself was really good as well. All 6 men definitely have chemistry, which is good to see. Braun looked like a monster again, and you know, it's, you know, that awful feud with Bobby Lashley. It looks like it's still going to continue with those two very much trying to take each other out of the match. Ricochet did get the pinfall. He pinned Cesaro after he and the Miz worked together to take out Cesaro. Samoa Joe was taken out quite halfway through the match as well. This, again, the babyface is coming out on top. A very standard kind of triple threat, 6-man tag team match with babyfaces coming out on top. I actually like that. Sometimes you just need these type of matches so everyone looks so. For me personally, I would rather have the Miz challenging for the US title, in my opinion, against Samoa Joe, because I think definitely those two have the most chemistry. So for me, I am going to give this a 3 out of 5 stars. Good match. Next up, we had Champions versus Challenger match, where we saw a tag team match with Bayley and Becky Lynch, the Raw and SmackDown Women's Champions. We saw Lacey Evans and Alexa Bliss teaming up to take them on. Before the match even started, earlier on in the show, we did get a Lacey Evans, Becky Lynch promo kind of thing. That, it's generic backstage. I don't understand why they do it sometimes, but it was earlier on in the show, leading on to this match. The match itself was pretty damn good. I liked it, and it was slightly, it was different compared to what we usually been getting lately. So it was nice to see that. We had Nikki Cross on the side watching on. Nikki did get involved in the match, but not on purpose. Lacey Evans pushed Nikki Cross into Becky Lynch when she tried to get away. Becky got distracted. Lacey Evans hit her with the women's right, and Lacey Evans hitting Bayley for the women's right as well after she tagged herself in to pin Bayley, the SmackDown Women's Champions, allowing the heels to actually have a win over the champions right now. I like this. It was a nice little change to everything. It shows how strong the women's right really is, and it just shows how competitive Lacey Evans is. She's very, very much this muscle of the Raw Women's division right now. So for me, I am going to give this a solid 2.5 out of 5. Very much entertaining and good fun. Next up, we had a Paul Heyman promo. Yeah, it was actually quite interesting. We literally came back from adverts and there was Paul Heyman in the ring cutting a promo. This was a very generic promo from Paul Heyman. A bit of a shame because, Paul is the best speaker in the company. He really knows how to ramp up everything, but he pretty much was stating that Seth Rollins needs to watch out. Brock Lesnar is going to watch every single week. He will be there, even at house shows. He will be there, even if you don't know he's going to be there. He will be there. Obviously this is not going to be true. We know Brock's going to be away for a while, but this whole adding like this suspense of, is Brock Lesnar going to turn up to a house show and try and cash in on Seth Rollins? Is Brock Lesnar going to turn up to, stomping grounds and try and cash in on Seth Rollins? We don't know. But it's just that, for me, it's a shame really. This is an okay promo from Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman is the master at promos, so his okay promos are still better than some of the talent's promos, but it just felt so meh. And I think that's the thing. I think as an audience, we're wise enough to know Brock's not going to be there every week now. We know that's not going to happen. We know Brock is not going to turn up to house shows, or we might not even turn up to Stomping Ground, but he's not going to turn up every week like he did the last couple of weeks coming up to Super Showdown, because he was getting paid to do that, a lot of money by WWE just to do it. So for me, I'm going to give this a 2.5 out of 5. a very basic Paul Heyman promo, which is a bit of a shame really. Next up, we had the IIconics, and they had a title defense against some local talent. Pretty much they won in very short time, and that was about it. The only thing I've got beef about is this. We've been crying out for women's tag team division. We've been crying out for tag team championships for a long time for the women's division. We finally get it, and then it's like creative just don't have a clue on what to do with it. They've given them to IIconics, who I think are a good women's tag team, and then who's going to challenge them? Kairi Sane and Asuka were like the #1 contenders, but yet they've disappeared since a couple of weeks ago. They've not reappeared. Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville seem like another good fit to be challenging for it, but they're too occupied with with Ember Moon and Carmella to be focusing on the IIconics. It's like no one really wants to hold those titles, and it now seems like the IIconics are spending more time on Raw than they are on SmackDown, and even then, even being on the main show isn't even elevating this tag team division, because there's just no tag team division to elevate. So for me, I'm going to give this a 1 out of 5 stars. They just need to start doing something. It's not the IIconics' fault, it's the creative team's fault right now, but they really need to work on it. Next up, we had Shane McMahon Appreciation again. Pretty much Shane came out to celebrate his victory over Roman Reigns with Drew McIntyre, and pretty much they stated they're going to have a party, and the Revival will be invited if they can bring gold with them. The Revival seem all up, and this was awesome. This led to the best match of the night in my opinion. The Revival versus Zack Ryder, Curt Hawkins versus the Usos. Very good match by all three teams. It pretty much worked out as Zack Ryder and Curt Hawkins actually came across very, very well in this match. They gelled with both teams, which was always good. The Usos seem like the most dominant. They are, in my opinion, the best tag team in the world right now, and they're just showing it every week. It looked like the Usos were going to win the Raw tag team titles because Scott Dawson tagged himself in, pushed Jimmy Uso out of the ring, and pinned Zack Ryder to win the Raw Tag Team Champions. That's 2 times now the Revival have won the titles. Like I said, this was a really good match, entertaining from start to finish. All 3 teams just had great chemistry and gelled so well. Am I upset that Zack Ryder and Hawkins are no longer the champions? A little bit, but I think the Revival can add a little bit more prestige to these championships in my opinion, especially with a rivalry with the Usos. So for me, I'm going to give this a 3 out of 5 stars. Like I stated, best match of the night. We also had throughout the night R-Truth's 24/7 championship defense. It really wasn't anything. R-Truth ran into an elevator with some other superstars with no referee in there. Their elevator got stuck. They all started to bond, became friends. Found out Drake Maverick's getting married next week. Congrats! EC3 going, well, why wasn't I invited? Dude, you're my best man. And it's like, yeah, that makes sense. It was fun. It was a good little segment. I love the 24/7 stuff. I like that. It does run throughout the night. I'm glad it doesn't, affect the main events too much, in my opinion. But yeah, this was fine. I really enjoyed it. The elevator doors open. Referee was there waiting with other superstars outside the door. Carmella drags R-Truth back into the elevator and they escape. I am going to give R-Truth and the 24/7 championship another 3 out of 5 stars. Next up, we have probably one of the best parts of Monday Night Raw for the last couple of weeks, and that has been Bray Wyatt's Firefly Funhouse. This is again so entertaining, so disturbing, and so, when it's like it's like mentally unstable, but you just want to continue watching. That's what this is. Bray Wyatt continue playing that very demented kids host. It works. You had the Rabbit, you had the Buzzard just arguing with each other. Bray Wyatt pretty much bashing the Rabbit with a massive hammer. It's just like, it's so mad, it's brilliant. Like I said, it's one of the best segments on Raw for the last couple of weeks. It's really working. I just worry what they're going to do with Bray Wyatt when he finally gets back into the ring. So for me, I'm going to give this a 3 out of 5 stars. Last but not least for tonight on Raw, we had Seth Rollins versus Kevin Owens. This led on from earlier on in the show where Kevin said he will challenge Seth throughout the night on the show. Seth accepted. KO had a special outside official, which was going to be Sami Zayn. That was because Sami went to see Shane O'Mac. Shane agreed that Sami should audition to see if he can become the official for Baron Corbin versus Seth Rollins at Stomping Grounds. And this was his audition. He'd be an outside official. The match itself was okay. Both Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins can work so well. We've seen it before. It won't be the last time these guys fight. It just was very much a okay match. Chemistry is definitely there between both guys. Sami got involved in the match a lot, pretty much distracting the official, holding the match up, pretty much at one point calling the referee, telling him to disqualify Seth Rollins when he did a suicide dive onto both Kevin and himself. He finally did get Seth disqualified when he held Sami up by his shirt, and Sami called it. He got disqualified. KO tried to attack him. Seth took him out, and then he beat the crap out of Sami Zayn with a steel chair. Corbin did try and come down to help. He didn't really do much as well. He got beaten up a little bit before he escaped, but pretty much Sami Zayn got beaten up with a steel chair, with a crowd cheering. Sami going, I was an official and all this. Like, yeah, it doesn't matter. You got your ass kicked. This was just like I said. It was paint by numbers kind of match up for these two. So I'm going to give it a 2.5 out of 5. This moves us on to SmackDown Live for this week, where we had an opening of Miz TV. So we were lucky. We got 2 episodes of Miz TV this week. How lucky are we? Miz was apparently told, actually ordered by the McMahons he had to do this week's episode on SmackDown Live, and his guest was none other than Shane O'Mac, Elias, and Drew McIntyre. He had to read these cards. He said there was a smudge on the card, and it said "Pest of the World." I like that. I like that it was a little bit, Miz was trying to fight back a little bit to the McMahons ordering him around. Miz kind of started telling Shane, look, you've been handed everything, you've handed all these victories. Drew McIntyre got in his face, and Shane goes, well, if you want to have a match with me, Miz, it sounds like you do, you will have to beat both Elias now, and if you can beat Elias, you have to beat Drew, and then finally you can have me tonight. And that's what happened. We led on to a match where we had Elias versus The Miz. Quick match, bit of a shame really, because it got interrupted a few times. It got interrupted halfway through the match through an ad break, which is a shame because The Miz came off looking really strong. Next thing we know, Elias is in control. The Miz managed to turn it, got a skull-crushing finale, he beat Elias. Drew McIntyre got into the ring. He started beating up on The Miz. That led to their match. It looked like Elias was going straight for the Claymore kick. Again, a commercial break straight before the match even really started. Came back, Drew's in control. Miz starts fighting back. It's that big babyface push. It's like, oh, he's going to do it. He's going to do it. Shane interrupts the match. He distracts the official. Miz tries to stop him. Claymore kick. Drew McIntyre wins. And then Shane gets into the ring. He says, you know what, Miz? You know what? I'm going to give you that option. I know I said you had to beat Drew as well to get me, but I've changed my mind. I feel like you deserve to have this match. I mean, Shane started beating down on a pretty much beaten up Miz at this point. Miz finally starts fighting back again, a good babyface, and then Then Shane puts Miz in a triangle lock, Miz taps out, and that's it. I was expecting Roman Reigns to come out to help the Miz. I've noticed Roman has not come out at all to help the Miz at all, but Miz has come out to help Roman in previous. So poor sportsmanship on Roman on there. But yeah, I really enjoyed all these. All this. It was a good way to open the show. It was a quick Miz TV. It led to a good little match between Miz and Elias, and then Drew. It just shows you what corporate Shane's team is. It is. They're corporate. The corporate family, really. So for me, I am going to give this a 2.5 out of 5. Next up, we had the Planet's Champions. They were going to take on some local talent, with some cardboard belts. Reminds me of the old What Culture Championship belt. So I'm guessing What Culture will be suing soon WWE for that one. But yeah. They were interrupted by Heavy Machinery. They want to challenge Daniel Bryan and Rollins for the titles. They said you have to earn an opportunity. So here you go. If you can beat these guys up, you might have an opportunity. Heavy Machinery they destroy the local talent again. But for me, the difference between the IIconics being up local talent and the Heavy Machinery is that we haven't seen Heavy Machinery for some time, and it is using the talent again. It's getting them into this picture. Yes, they're interrupting the champions. They are pushing the champions for title shots, and that's what they should be doing. So yes, for me, this was a lot better than what the IIconics did. So I'm going to give it a 2.5 out of 5. It is continuing a storyline between the Heavy Machinery and Daniel Bryan and Rollins. Next up, we had Sonya Deville versus Carmella. This again, we had Carmella with R-Truth. Truth got locked in a box and he got shipped away. Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville were bullying Ember Moon again backstage. Knocked her switch. Sonya, if that broke, you better buy her a new one. Because if that was my switch, I'd kill her. I would seriously kill her. But yeah, it led on to that, and then we had Sonya versus Carmella. Again, I don't understand what this is all about. I don't understand why Carmella and Ember Moon are being targeted by Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose. I thought they would really want to hold the women's tag team, but apparently not interested. The match itself was fine. Sonya Deville looked really good. Carmella, they do have chemistry. Mandy Rose got involved in the match, helping Sonya Deville getting the victory. I was expecting Ember Moon to come out again to help out Carmella, but she didn't. It's kind of weird. Ember's on TV every week with the Mandy Rose, Sonya Deville, but it's just like, get her out, get her beating the crap out of it. I know this is the rivalry we're going to lead up to, and possibly a tag team match between, Ember Moon and Carmella taking on Mandy and Sonya, but just get Ember involved in the matches now. I want to see Ember compete. She's a talent. So for me, I'm going to give the match itself a 2.5 out of 5. I think it both women worked well together. The match itself was decent. The Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose chemistry is always good as well. They just seem like a better tag team than the IIconics right now. So like I said, it's a 2.5 out of 5. Next up, we had Big E's return. Again, this is the proper return. Big E made some jokes about every time he makes a return, if it was a championship, he would be tied with Charlotte Flair. That was a good one, and that was fun. That was actually quite funny from Big E. They were interrupted by Dolph Ziggler, Kevin Owens, and Sami Zayn, who they're taking on in a 6-man tag team match on the main event for SmackDown, which was advertised all night through. The chemistry between all 6 guys is great. KO didn't really say it. Sami really worked up the crowd. Dolph was really good. Showed the video of Xavier kicking him in the face at Saudi Arabia, which lost him the match. But pretty much, it was a really well worked promo between all 3 guys. They definitely have chemistry. So for me, I'm going to give this a 2.5 out of 5. Next up, we had Alistair Black's promo. This was awesome. Really good little promo from Alistair Black. Every week for a few weeks now, we've seen Alistair Black asking for someone to fight him, and this one was getting more irritated. Like, no one is challenging Alistair Black to a match, and that's all he wants. And it's like, for him, fighting is like breathing. If he's not fighting someone, he's suffocating. And this is how it feels, and this is really good stuff. I like what creative done. Alistair Black for me is the right guy for the story. I said when I did my predictions on where Alistair Black should go in the Superstar Shake-Up, SmackDown would be the right fit for him, and I think it is. I think SmackDown has that right amount of roster for him to work with. He's just one of those characters. He's such a dark, broody character. He can be worked in both heel or babyface role. It'd be interesting. He always played a babyface on NXT, and when he got called up, he was a babyface. But it seemed like the lack of fighting could turn him heel, and that could be an interest. I would love to see a heel Alistair Black and see how that works, because like I stated earlier on in this video, there's not a lot of big name heels, and Alistair Black could really fit that role easily. So for me, I'm going to give this promo a 3 out of 5 stars. Next up, we had Bayley versus Nikki Cross. Now, Nikki had been pretty much convinced by Alexa Bliss that Bayley had liked a mean tweet about her. Yes, that's right, a mean tweet. And that Bayley is nothing more than a bully. She tried to convince Nikki Cross she needs to take Bayley out as painful as possible, going all out on Bayley. The match itself was really well worked. Both women again have great chemistry. It was a good match. Bayley and Nikki are just fun. Nikki showing why she should be pushing further up in the card, in my opinion. Bayley's a great worker, crowd favourite in this because it's near her hometown and everyone just loves Bayley. I like that Bayley's finally been revamped. That new little attitude that Bayley's gotten has really worked. It's not too much out of the Bayley character, but it's added an extra layer to her, and it does work. Alexa Bliss is that, you know, with her watching on the sides was good as well. Alexa is such a good little heel, a good little manipulator. Nikki Cross for me, I can't wait to see how this goes. We could have it where Nikki does turn heel thanks to Alexa Bliss's manipulation, or we can finally have a Nikki Cross who snaps on Alexa Bliss because she realizes Alexa has been playing her. It will be interesting to see how that goes. It was a good little build up for their feud for stomping grounds between Bayley and Alexa Bliss as well. So for me, I'm going to give this match a 3 out of 5 stars. Last but not least, it was the 6-man tag team match where we saw the New Day taking on Dolph Ziggler, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Again, very good match. This was well worked. All the teams, like I said in the promo, these guys have great chemistry, and it's not just on the mic, they have it in the ring, and it just shows. And it was well worked. Xavier was getting beaten up for some time by the heel team. Big E got the hot tag and he really dominated that, and then Kofi came in and hit Trouble in Paradise after Dolph Ziggler accidentally super kicks Sami Zayn in the face. He hits Trouble in Paradise on both Dolph and then Sami Zayn to get the victory for his team. Like I said, all 6 guys are just absolute pure talent, and they definitely have chemistry with them all. I really enjoyed this match. This was a good little match. It was a bit of a slow burn at the start, but it really got better by the end, in my opinion. So for me, I am going to give this match a 3 out of 5 stars. And there you go, guys. That was Raw versus SmackDown for this week, and we have to decide who has won. I think it's going to be it's quite tough between both shows. I think Raw really had it for me for the Bray Wyatt Funhouse. Yes, we did get it on SmackDown, but it first aired on Raw. The Miz TV leading into the 6-man tag team match was fun. The Lacey Evans, Lacey Evans, Alexa Bliss, Becky Lynch match was good as well. The tag team title match with the Revival, Hawkins and Ryder versus the Usos. Oh, that was just brilliant. So I'm going to give Raw, I think I'm going to give Raw a 2.5 out of 5. Everything else just felt okay. SmackDown, on the other hand, you finally started using heavy machinery. You had the Miz TV opening, which led to Elias, Drew McIntyre, and Shane being that cocky, boss heel. I thought was good. Big E's return promo was great. Bayley versus Nikki Cross was fantastic. Alistair Black's promo, just absolutely fantastic. And then the New Day versus Kevin Owens, Dolph Ziggler, and Sami Zayn in the main event was very good, and I think all the guys just worked so well. So for me, I'm going to give SmackDown a 3 out of 5 stars. So this week's winner is SmackDown Live. But what was your favourite part, guys, of SmackDown and Raw? Leave it in the comments below. If you do like our videos, like I said at the start of this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and press that bell so you can keep up to all the content we make here at Smack Talk Wrestling. If you want to follow us on the old Twitter, it's at Smack Talk YouTube. If you want to follow me on the old Twitter, it's at Boise88. And I'll see you guys next time on Smack Talk Wrestling Reviews.